Hi there, I'm Andrew. Welcome to Adventure Rider. Today we're going to look at a product that's just a little bit different because I think it's interesting. This is the Fuel Escape Vest, and this is something I was actually sent by them back in the end of autumn last year to try out, and I kind of put it to one side. I wasn't really sure if I'd ever get around to using it. It's a bit quirky. I use backpacks and I kind of figured, well, what's the point of this? I ended up using it and it's actually become my go-to for most of my more spirited, adventurous adventure rides. And I just thought it was worthy of a little bit of spotlight time. So it is essentially a vest, a utility vest that incorporates the same practicalities you'd want from a backpack, but I think it does it in a slightly better way. With a backpack, it's all in your back and usually in sort of one or two pockets. So if you need to get at something, you got to stop, take off the bike, swing it round, open it up, fiddle through all the different stuff that's in these usually two pockets, and you end up just kind of a bit annoyed. If you're already doing stuff, I'm very impatient and I just want easy access to things. So this has just the right amount of balance of storage and practicality without going too far in that area. And it keeps everything nice and slim throughout. So it doesn't really feel any different to wearing a jacket, but you still have your hydration bladder incorporated in it. And of course it's modular in that respect. You don't have to have the hydration bladder included. And I would say it's very difficult to be exact here because it's not listed on Fuel's website itself. I'd say you probably get about 9 litres of storage if you filled every pocket to its capacity. And I think that's the limit of what we ever really want to have on our backs as adventure riders, unless there's a short-term need to have more. I've used 25-litre backpacks fully laden on sort of filming days and stuff. But if I'm genuinely doing something that's more difficult, challenging, into the unknown, I do not want more than 9 litres. Krieger's Trail 9 is a good example. They do a 12, but unless you're sort of adding a few things like waterproofs into the mix, I think 9 is a really good balance to have. So it comes included with the 3-litre hydration bladder, which is great because often backpacks don't come with the bladders and you buy them separately, and I find that slightly annoying. So this is actually included. It makes life simple. You don't need to worry about what fits and doesn't fit. So there it is, and it's 3 litres, which is more than enough. I don't think I've ever genuinely used, even on a 10-hour ride, more than about 1.5 litres, where I then didn't have an opportunity to fill up. So 3 litres is absolutely massive, and I would only use about half of it. That keeps the weight low. It's all going to be slim and form-fitting as well. In a backpack, of course, it's going to stick out that bit further, and that means you've got slightly more sort of weighing you back. And here it's spread nicely and evenly. You can see there's 2 3/4 slightly larger pockets on the sides. These are great for storing things like waterproofs if you are in interchangeable weather and you need somewhere to stash them. You don't have good storage on the bike. This can easily fit a trouser and a jacket, one on either side. I actually use it for a mini tripod, which I use for filming on the go. There's another flatter pocket on the back as well, which you can use just to overlay something on the hydration bladder pouch. There's a little hook inside, which keeps the hydration bladder held up high and in position. And you can mount the hydration hose either side as you wish. You just thread it through these straps on the top, and then you have this magnetic little clip system that goes onto this molly webbing system on the front. And that's nice because you can orient easily when you're on the go to have the tube back in place. The one thing I'd say, the bite valve is a linear straight valve, and that's one thing I would actually prefer if it was at a 45-degree or a 90-degree angle, just so that when you're on the go, you can feed the tube up under your helmet with your helmet still on and easily get the water. I did find I'd sort of have to either like move it up a bit to get the valve in. You can buy third-party valves you can accessorize, because this is ultimately a very universal hydration bladder that Fuel have licensed. They haven't made it completely themselves. So there's nothing that you can't accessorize with retrospectively and get the bike valve you want. But as I say, I think most people would probably want it to be at an angle in an ideal world. It's a very small niggle and doesn't really limit the overall functioning of things. But these pockets you can see around the front, again, I think they're well thought through. They're a good size, and you have just about the right amount of stuff to store some food for on the go, some snacks and stuff like that, your phone. In my case, camera equipment, SD card holders, and spare batteries, and maybe a couple of mounts and things like that. All of it can go in there really easily, and it's nicely segmented. So again, I'm not having to get off the bike. I'm not having to rummage through things. I'm not getting more frustrated and impatient than I already am as a person. It's a really good fit. As I would say though, however, it is slightly large on the sizing. So I'm a 40 to 41 inch chest, and I usually go for a medium or a large in jackets, and this thing I've cinched in on all of the cinch points on the sides, either side, and also on the front as well, and that is therefore at its smallest orientation, and it fits perfectly. But if you were any smaller than that, then you may find it's perhaps just a little bit loose. So I think Fuel should have probably sized it just a bit smaller in that respect. But certainly if you're on the larger end of the spectrum, this thing will definitely fit as well, because there's loads of outwards adjustability. You could be massive and you wouldn't have a problem. The styling's pretty cool. It's ripstop fabric all throughout the front. I like the two tones. So you've got the grey at the front, the black at the back. I think it breaks it up nicely. Of course, this works best with a neutral jacket in terms of pocket layout and stuff. If you've got tons and tons of pockets and then you put this over it, slightly defeats the point. But I'm a rider that massively prefers having limited pockets on the front, keeping my jacket as streamlined as possible, and then making use of interchangeable pockets where I can. So this, as I say, it sort of unexpectedly turned out to be just what I needed and just the right amount of stuff for some of these longer, more difficult rides where I just needed about exactly this amount of storage, but I wanted easy access. The pockets all have waterproof zippers, but they are not necessarily 100% waterproof. You should never risk being 100% waterproof really with any kind of pocket. So if you've got things like batteries and sort of sensitive camera equipment, then just chuck it in a little freezer bag is all I do, and that keeps it watertight. Or of course get a full-on dry bag, but they're pretty decent. And I have been through a baptism of fire when it comes to wet weather and muddy water crossings and stuff with this, and everything's been absolutely fine. It's performed really well. This is my working one, so you can see it's still in pretty good condition. It's easy enough to just hose down. I just chuck mine in the bath with a scrubber brush and it all comes off nice and easily, and it still looks in pretty decent condition as well. So as I say, just nothing overtly groundbreaking here, but it's just a slightly different take on having a backpack, and I think it works really well. So if you're someone who has about this kind of need for storage, but likes the idea of having things segmented, then the Fuel Escape Vest is really good. These are in stock and available now at Adventure Rider. We do sell the stuff. I've perhaps been told I'm not commercial enough in these reviews and pointing out that you can get the stuff from us. We do free next day shipping and returns in the UK, and we do a price match guarantee on everything. And we've got the best range, the best gear from the best brands, and hopefully stuff like this that perhaps you haven't come across before. So I think Fuel have done as good a job as they could on this Escape Vest. I'm really impressed with it. I'll be using it a lot. I think the limitation of it is when it comes to the warmer weather, because you've got this full degree of fabric down the front over the top of your jacket. So if you say have a mesh jacket and you're trying to get airflow, clearly on a hot day it's going to prevent that. But in the UK, those days are few and far between, and on those days I would go for something different, or perhaps I would even do away with the storage altogether and find another solution on the bike perhaps. But this really does have you covered in most conditions, and I think they've done a good job. So check this out. Check out other backpacks from the likes of Endurostan and Krieger on our website, and Climb. We've got loads and loads of options in between, so there should be a storage solution for everybody, and I love a backpack, so I can never have enough of them. Thank you for watching. We've got some other fantastic products coming our way, and the season for spring summer 24 hopefully is about to kick off with some good weather, so there'll be lots of chances to get out and ride and show you some new spring summer focused stuff, so stay tuned. Thank you for watching. See you soon. Goodbye.